Good morning, my lovely friends. We've got some errands to do this morning. I've fed my chickens, did their water, found out that my little water reservoir heater had unplugged or unswitched when I was moving something around, so that froze over, but I chose to give a couple of whacks at the surface and it did break through. So, I think my temperature for my coffee water is perfect. Yeah, so I broke through the ice. I figured it couldn't have unplugged too far back, and it was really only super cold last night, so luckily there was like an inch of ice on top, and I broke through, got it plugged back in, felt the element, it was warm. So that was actually good. Gave the doggies their breakfast. I'm split their meal in two, and I give one in the morning, one at night, mainly so I can give Torres medications when I was doing it. But I'm just sticking with it for a while. It's kind of nice, fun, gives them more stimulation. It allows me, if I came short on some stuff defrosting, in the morning I only have to give them half a meal, and then I've still got till the evening to feed them the other half. So it actually works out really well that way. Yeah, so gave the chickens new water, lots of food, lots of cooked veggies. Oh yeah. So now my new routine is to have all my odd scraps for vegetables in the slow cooker, and it makes a really nice broth. They love the broth. Yeah, I'm trying to get them to drink more water, but running out of sardines, which give the water a certain taste that they like. So I'm just finding other ways to create good hearty broths for them of varying kinds. But I finally figured out how I can have the camera aimed at what I'm doing and me be in the picture. I gotta be sitting down. Good job I brushed my beard this morning, because when I woke up it looked like the wind was blowing it this way. It was just like whoosh. I guess I was lying like that. But anyways, so my little coffee kettle here says the temperature of the water is just below 200 Fahrenheit, which is just about right. 190 something, 180 something, depending. So what I'm doing first is warming up. Everything tends to get more complicated at times. So what I'm doing is I'm using my my Yeti keep your coffee really hot for a long time mug, but I'm drinking out of this beautifully made in Maynooth, just up the road, by a wonderful artist. I haven't met her yet. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her. I think her last name is Doole, Doole, in Maynooth. I don't know. This is the best coffee mug I've ever drunken out of. It just does it for me. It's kind of magical, storybook-like, could fit kind of anywhere, different contexts and stuff. But that's the mug I like to drink out of. But I learned from another mug that you don't push with an AeroPress on nicely handmade mugs, because then that happens. So I'm keeping this one for some art piece to do one day, but work it into my house. I love these mugs so much. So so my new process here is, actually I forgot, I don't think I ground my coffee. It's usually about 70 little turns. What coffee do I have here? I've been roasting my coffee when I can. I think about it like a day or so before I use it. I read or watched, forgot his name, my favorite coffee connoisseur guy on YouTube recommended that you leave your coffee once roasted a little bit, or else you might get a little bit of a sour taste. And if you look back on my first post of roasting coffee, I noticed sometimes a little bit of a sour taste, and I wasn't quite sure. It's not always, or at least not noticeable to my palate always. But anyway, so I've been experimenting and filling it out. Does it eliminate those once in a while sournesses that I get? Of course, it depends on how dark your roast is. I've been experimenting all over the place with dark roasts, medium roasts, lighter roasts. And partly it's my mood, but overall I don't, what I call a burnt taste, I don't really care to have overpowering. I like a little hint of the roast taste, but not where it overpowers the coffee. Now I guess if you had cheap coffee, you'd maybe want more likely to have it a very dark roast. It's kind of like cheap tea, you want Earl Grey in it or something. I don't know for sure. That could be insulting to some, so I didn't mean to be insulting. I just I recognize that that extra roast can hide stuff in the taste of the coffee, which is probably why a lot of these fast food coffee places do that. Now, where's my temperature? Okay, just bring it up a teeny bit. I really like this pot because, well, I need to have the flame on low, or else it would come up and burn off the handle, melt the handle. But I like that I can tell the temperature. I like that it's not digital. I'm really working myself off of electric, little bit by little bit. Not that I'll ever, at least, well, I could, but I'm not planning on being zero electric. I'm just planning on not using it when I don't need to. And it is fun for me. Oh yeah, so this is one of the things as well that I like about my little coffee kettle here, is the precise pouring spout. Love it. Because this was the issue I was having with my other one. It just wasn't happening. The same, and it would overflow. So now I can be more detail oriented. And I mean, anyone that knows me, I guess I tend to be a little bit detail oriented in things I do. There. Oh. Now this is nice. This is very exquisite. Also, the nice thing about a small kettle is if I wanted to make myself a little travel coffee making kit, this little kettle goes very nicely in a small briefcase of some kind. And my inspiration for that comes from my good friend that I haven't seen forever, Morning Glory. First name Morning, last name Glory. I always like get up in the morning and go over and go morning. It's my favorite thing to do. But anyways, the reason why I brought morning up is not just because it's morning, but and that I feel the glory, but because I'm bringing on my morning glory right now with this wonderful cup of coffee that I'm spending so much time brewing just perfectly. And Morning Glory, who works for film industry stuff, that kind of gives you a sense of why he might do this, but when he came to my place for his tattoo a billion years ago, he had a little kit that he made, a little briefcase, I can't remember if it was a Pelican case or what, but he had such a beautifully made little coffee making kit for his absolutely, that hurt. anyways, that it inspired me enough that it stuck in my memory. He had all his little grinding kits and all his little bits and pieces. I'm just looking for my butter here because I'm going to do a bulletproof. Absolutely. Now, I think the best bulletproof coffee around here would be at Don's place with his new well, she's not new, but his little goat who is newly producing milk. And he said she's the tiniest goat, but her udders are the right size, so he's actually able to milk her. And we met over at Helena's place in Bancroft, and Don guided us in making butter, and the butter was exquisite, absolutely perfect and amazing. Oh, that coffee looks nice. Yeah, so Don's goat butter was fantastic, and those of you that have tried goat anything and say, no, won't do it again, tastes like goat. This did not taste like goat, and I'm serious, not even a hint of goat taste. It's just what you do with it. If you pasteurize it, homogenize, pasteurize, put it through a process, and you don't do it properly, and I guess they don't do it properly because most goat milk you buy commercially tastes like goat milk, or tastes like what we think goat milk is. Little teeny bit more. Yeah, so bulletproof coffee, I would say around here, the best bulletproof butter will be from Don's Goats. Healthier, creamier, all around perfect. I mean, think about like this. I don't know if this sounds weird, but you know, we're so used to, in this case, the topic is milk butter, but to have, number one, super healthy, unfucked around with milk, cream, butter, cheese, whatever. Like, you can be the one who is in control of everything from raising the goat, knowing what it eats, knowing it's a happy goat or not, knowing if it's not looking quite like it's not having the best day today, that sort of thing. You would know, because you know your goat. You would know, you know what, my goat's not feeling so good today, or this goat's not feeling so good today. I'm just going to leave that milk out for the animals to eat, for the pigs to drink. You know, that's how it would be done. It would just be general wisdom, common sense. But because we've been so divorced of all this, we are at the subject of who knows what kind of chemicals they have to throw in to our products to preserve them, to sterilize them, boiling, whatever, all the processes involved that wouldn't have had to exist once upon a time. You also have to cool the milk down very quickly right away, so you'd also know that you did that or not. Whereas if you're doing, 50 cows, maybe you might not quite be on top of it every time. So I really like that artisan kind of level of anything: beer making, cheese making, wine making, coffee making, like where you put your heart and soul into it, and a certain kind of intelligence and energy goes into it through loving what you do, but also knowing what you do because you love what you do. And I mean, this is just one thing, milk, I'm talking about, but it would be pretty well anything. This is the beauty of gravitating towards some element of homesteading, is that you get this absolute, you save money, you get a product you could never get anywhere else, which you can make other products from. So, and in my case, with my lovely coffee exploration, I can take it one step further with Don's goat butter. And I didn't think about that. I should have taken a little bit so I could have tried this with the coffee. So Don, if you're listening, you better be listening to this. I want to, well, you've got enough eggs, so you don't need to trade eggs for butter, but I want to do a little trade for some butter so I can just use it for my bulletproof coffee. So let me know, Don, if you can save me up a little bit. I know you only got the one little goat, but oh yeah, I'm supposed to be looking at the green dot. Okay, right now, do I look like I'm looking at you? And before, did I look like I wasn't? So I gotta remember this. Look at the green dot. Maybe I should go on and off to keep my attention or something. Oh, I feel like I'm ignoring myself, not looking at myself. What's the matter, Damon? Are you upset with yourself? You're not looking at yourself. Okay, so anyways, enough of that chitter chatter, wasting the airwaves. So the best mug I've ever drunk coffee out of, it definitely affects the taste. I like knowing it's made just around the corner and that I could actually get to know the person who made it. I'd like to encourage myself that happening more and more. Getting my mugs from someone down the road, and then my cream from somewhere over here, and my cheese from somewhere over there. It's starting to sound really amazing already. One thing I really like as well is, at first I didn't like it, but when all the restaurants kind of shut us out and they couldn't tell what the rules were yet, and finally it got to where you had to have a passport, that's cool. I just chose myself not to go that route. But now that it's been 2 years of not eating at restaurants, and knowing my lack of control sometimes with things that I like, well, I think I've cured myself of needing to go to restaurants. I mean, they cost a lot, and right now you could definitely use not overspending. So I'm kind of grateful that happened. I might just not eat at restaurants. That kind of restaurant anyways. That kind, whatever that kind is. But in general, yeah, why spend all that extra money? Why not have friends around in a neighborhood where you could drop in, do a little coffee hangout with someone and a few friends, or do a little dinner thing, or do a whatever, butter making, and take home the bit of butter you made or something. I don't know. It could be a lot of fun. Could be a lot of fun. Could be a lot of fun for people in the city who can't, don't want to, or something, mixture of the above, but would love to just have the experience once in a while. So these are just coffee going through my system, buzzy thoughts. This is a very nice cup of coffee, but it's also the wonderful friends that I'm sharing it with. I don't know if you guys have your coffee in hand, but oh man, does it ever take an effort to not look at myself? And that sounds really horrible. But it's just the focus. I gotta put maybe a bigger sticker or something there, a little arrow. Oh, see, I'm still trying to look. Okay, so here I am, feeling good, spreading my cheer, things that come to mind right off the bat that I think would be really fun and simple. I think kids would love it too. Well, maybe not the coffee, but I have for many years toyed with the idea of getting a small-ish cow at some point for my milk and cream. I can't imagine I would be having a cow for beef. I eat meat, not that I'm against it, but me and animals get along way too well, and then I'll become really bonded with it. So I think for me, if I was to get a cow, having a cow for milk would make sense, because then I would have it year after year after year. And it would be a pet. And although they're not best for milk production, they still do produce milk. I love the Scottish Highland cows, you know, the big long horns and the shaggy coats. And apparently they love being brushed, so that would be kind of fun too. But yeah, that interactive aspect, I would definitely have to learn a little bit more than I know about goats. And I may, because of all that, I might end up getting a couple of goats, because I'm thinking that my little chicken area might be perfect for them already, so I don't have to start working on fences, which I would have to for a cow. So probably a couple of goats might come before ever a cow. And that would be fun. I'll put them in the chicken area. I have to build still a little barn for them, and a little milking stand. That will be super fun. But I'm honestly starting to feel attracted more and more to these simple things. Now I know that if one's not organized, and the learning curve being steep can take away a lot of fun from some adventure like this, but I think if it's done step by step, especially if you have a little group of people, a little community, it would make these chores a little bit easier and less overwhelming if you have some of this stuff to share with people. But I'll tell you, Don takes it on himself. I don't know how he does it. He has so many animals, and he's always learning and dealing, and he just loves it. He's a taking care of people kind of person. And but it doesn't mean he doesn't have his hardships. I mean, he must have days where he gets overwhelmed. But apparently Italians in Guelph used to, I think you can still have a goat in your backyard in Guelph, and chickens, because of the Italians, the mafia, Al Capone way back, and the community that was left behind. You're allowed to have a lot more agricultural elements in your backyard in Guelph because of that. I think it's going to have to go back to that to some degree. You know, gardens, chickens, a couple of goats, whatever. Just because prices are going to get so high that we're going to need to have some kind of security, food security. And we're going to have to, I don't know if it would get to where you have to do it all yourself, but at least supplementing with certain things. For sure. I think a lot more people are going to start canning and jarring and preserving and drying and all that. So why not just start making it fun? Yeah, why not? Why not just embrace life as it changes and make it fun? Wow. I like the inside color of this cup too. A coffee color. Yeah, can't say enough good about these cups. And it's so nice to drink out of a coffee cup that's actually got an artist's signature on it. Wow. And one thing that doesn't have a stamp saying made in China. I've just gotten so used to everything being made in China. And not that I have a problem, as you would imagine. I love to support Chinese people. And one of my first memories when I was a little kid with my mother was her taking me in Ottawa and the rest of my siblings to one of our favorite things was to go to the little Chinese store in Byward Market and talk to the little old wise man, Chinese guy with the long goatee. And to us, he was as good as any guru, sage, monk. He was that mysterious guy that, you know, he would give us little treats, those little rabbit kind of milk candies, and salted squid, sort of sweet, salty squid, dried squid bits and stuff. We learned how to enjoy things that most kids didn't enjoy. So as you would imagine, knowing me, I love different cultures. I love, right from when I was born, I was introduced to many fascinating cultural foods and customs. But what I do not enjoy is how everything has just become, like every item of clothing, everything is made in China. And I don't like thinking about it because I feel like it's not made in China with pride. Quite often it's made in China in a kind more of a sweatshop type of environment. And I think anywhere, any country, any time period, I mean, thinking about the people, you don't want people not enjoying their life. And then you think about the products, you don't want to be wearing or using something that has a bad vibe energy to it. So it's all of that. When I say that I would prefer not having everything made in China, I would prefer, well, if I would love to have things made in China if they were things that weren't Canadian or American, but just made in China. If there was something specifically, like, well, talking about cups, those traditional teacups and mugs and teapots and stuff that are for sure made in China, designed in China, Chinese style, that is something that if I wanted in my house, and I have had, I would want the authentic piece. But to have, I don't know, anything that you pick up, well, here we go, anything that you pick up, a Yeti mug. I thought when they were super high price, I thought, okay, I get it. Super high price, partly because maybe this stainless steel is a better quality, and maybe also because they didn't cut corners by having it made in China. And so I looked at it, and I noticed this as well. I don't want to go off too on a tangent, but made in China. So even the super expensive things, high quality supposedly, are made in China. But I've noticed everyone now goes designed in Texas, or assembled in wherever, or created here or there. And right away you know that's because it was made in China, and they're starting to not do so well, and people are starting to look at these things. So for whatever it's worth, you know, love my Chinese people, friends, culture. Not a lot I can do except for with my opinion and vote as an individual, and speak my mind, to stand up for people that are in less fortunate situations, as many workers in China are. I'm sure there are people that enjoy their situation. I don't know. But I'm sure that most of people in China, if they had an option, would not, in the case of those working in shops like this, would not enjoy, and would choose something a little different if they had that option. So there. Oh, you know what's kind of cool? This is kind of cool. John went over to, well, I met them before, Roz and, shit, I forgot his name, Roz and anyways, Rosalind, she has an orchard, and they crushed apples in their little apple cider making thing, and they gave me apple juice, fresh homemade. That was in the fall. Put it in my fridge, and like many things, I totally forgot about it. Well, look at this. If I could shine the light through it, it is crystal clear with an amber color, of course. Look at that. This has fermented. I don't know what alcohol content is in there, but it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. So, if I remember, I'm going to take that to Helena's for her to try, and also for Dawn to try. It's kind of our meeting place between me and Dawn during the winter, because it's too much of an effort for me to get to Dawn's or Dawn to get to my place. So when Dawn's in town or I'm in town, we'll meet there. What else is new around here? Well, that's about it for now. I gotta have breakfast and get ready, head out, do a couple of errands, and then come back and walk the dogs when it'll be a bit milder out. Did something really stupid yesterday. I bought a bunch of these Chelsea bun things. Oh God, why did I do it? Ate one and regretted it right away. So I'm gonna go and gift the rest of them to Helena. That's horrible, because the last thing she wants is to eat those either. So really what I should do is just feed them to the chickens one a day or something, just as a little energy spike when it's cold, that sort of thing. But oh my gosh, the spring, in my opinion, my kind of spring, the shift is when the super cold temperatures are almost gone. It's still wintry, but it's the winter that I love. It's palatable, it's enjoyable. I think the dogs enjoy it a lot more. I can go for longer walks. But also, it's that point where in the forest here, most of the winter, there's no sounds of bird, well, a crow, a raven, a blue jay, but not common all the time. And there's this point, and it just happened like a week or so ago, where I would see the odd squirrel, the odd chipmunk, the odd red squirrel, and I'd start hearing this cluster of those little birds, whatever they're called. They're very sort of generic looking. A whole million of them will huddle in a tree, bushy tree or something. And so that life coming back to the forest. So for me, this is a kind of a spring. And the daylight is absolutely noticeably more than the winter. So whatever, this should be its own season right now. And then it blends into when spring comes. But nonetheless, still, for me, out here, it's when there's still snow on the ground. Sun is, you can actually feel the warmth on your face. That's not quite yet, but it's coming. The dogs will lie on this like an ice floe, almost like a polar bear, to keep their belly cool while they warm themselves in the sun. I'm the same way. At that point, I want to go and lie out on a lawn chair or something and bask in the sun, even though there's still snow on the ground. So, I mean, you got to be out of the wind, but it's very enjoyable for me, and most of all, 0 bugs. And then that, I don't know, depends on the year, the season, but it could go right into May. It just depends, that where the bugs start coming out. It gets a little too warm, but usually even when there's a few bugs, it's like they haven't figured out what they're meant to do, so they don't bother you, they don't bite you. But yeah, that is becoming over time one of my favorite seasons, because it's fresh. You see buds starting to come onto the trees, It's the Sugar Bush time. When I was a kid, I used to go, my mother would take us to the Sugar Bush events, and you'd get a tour and have a sleigh ride, and you'd see how all the maple syrup the sap got collected and then boiled into maple syrup. And you know, you'd take some and pour it over snow, and it would hard like taffy, and eat that. Oh my gosh, the simplest things are, in my opinion, the most beautiful, most fun memories I've had. So when I hear about all the difficulties that we're facing, at least embracing some of those simple things is a good way to help take care of ourselves and not feel like we're in lack. Anyway, for whatever it's worth, that's my spiel. So, just realizing I've been chatting for a while as my caffeine level is softening a little bit now. And I'm gonna try not having 2 cups of coffee because I'm starting to think it might be because of that, but I'm not sleeping as restfully. So we're gonna cut down to 1 a day, and that's it. So hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.